So let's start with viruses. So viruses are very unique as they are known as microbes. They are not microorganisms as they are not considered as being living organisms. The reason why is because they cannot reproduce on their own and they rely on a host to reproduce. For example, if we think about the coronavirus or even HIV, where the human is the main host of this virus. So what also makes viruses very unique is that all of them are pathogenic because they cause diseases. They can infect different organisms like animals, plants, and even bacteria. So viruses which infect bacteria are known as a bacteriophage. So viruses can infect bacteria and we can use that to our advantage. We do have the technology to change the DNA of the virus in order to try and fight bacterial infections when antibiotics becomes ineffective. So let's have a look at a disease caused by viruses. This is one of the viruses which killed a lot of people, especially in Africa. And this is known as the HIV virus, the immunodeficiency virus. So this virus targets the immune system. This especially will attack the white blood cells, which creates a protection against other diseases. So that means our immune system will become weaker and weaker, and we will not be able to fight other illnesses which infect or which we pick up from other people or the surrounding environment. So if we have a look at the different symptoms, we will notice that there is a rapid weight loss, extreme tiredness, sores in the mouth, as well as swollen lymph glands. Unfortunately, there's no cure available for AIDS, but we can prolong the life expectancy of someone with AIDS by making use of antiretrovirals. The biggest thing how we can prevent someone from contacting HIV is having protected sex or even abstain from sex. So during 2004, the South African government produced the choice condom to try and prevent the spread of AIDS, as a large number of South Africans contracted this disease. This contraceptive is freely available to anyone in South Africa. Because due to the fact that this product is freely available, people do not believe that it is effective, or people don't believe that it's effective, which is not the case at all. So let's have a look at how this disease is transmitted. It is transmitted by means of unprotected sex, drug addictions, sharing needles with one another, during blood transfusions, during pregnancy, or even from the mother to the baby through breast milk, and then also non-sterilized instruments. Then we will have a look at how HIV is not transmitted, as people have a lot of different beliefs. So you cannot contract HIV/AIDS by means of touch, through sharing of food, through kissing, insect bites, or even just simply swimming in the same pool. So now let's move over to our next microorganism, known as bacteria. They are considered as being microorganisms because they are living. They are much different from our viral infections or our viruses. We can use them to our advantage by making bread or even beer. Some can be pathogenic, which means that they can cause a disease. So let's have a look at a disease which is caused by a bacteria. One common one that is well known to South Africans is tuberculosis, or also known as TB. TB targets the lungs. It results in coughing up of blood and mucus, severe chest pain, fatigue, which means extreme tiredness, and also fever. Luckily, there is a cure for tuberculosis. We have to take antibiotics as a treatment for this disease. The downfall is that you have to use it for 3 to 6 months. But luckily, you can prevent this disease by regularly washing your hands and wearing a mask. So let's have a look how this disease can be transmitted from one person to another. So the infected person, like the one on your left, the TB will be located in the lungs. So when the person sneezes or coughs, the bacteria will enter the mucus and it will be transferred through the cough or the sneeze. So then this mucus droplet will then be inhaled by the next person. This is known as an airborne disease. So let's have a look at Protista, also known as protozoa. So what is a protist? So these are also known as microorganisms, as they are known to be living organisms. Some of these are plant-like, like algae, and others are animal-like. Most of the protozoa are known to be pathogenic, where they can cause diseases, which can be deadly. So let's have a look at malaria. So malaria is responsible for killing a large number of people from Africa yearly. It's an extremely dangerous disease which kills a lot of people each year. It targets the red blood cells as well as the liver cells. It results in high fever, fatigue, which means extreme tiredness. It results in severe headaches, nausea, and diarrhea, which is very similar to food poisoning. So if you have visited a malaria area, which is up in Africa from our equator and up, you have to, if you do feel any of the symptoms, tell your doctor that you have been exposed to an area where malaria is quite common. Luckily, there is medication to try and kill the parasite, which is doxycycline capsules. You can easily prevent malaria by means of mosquito nets, wearing long sleeve clothes, or even draining some still standing water. Another preventative measure is also just taking a precaution medication to try and prevent the spread or reproduction of the parasite. So let's see the transmission of malaria. It is very important to note that the female mosquito is the vector, so she carries the parasite. As soon as she bites the host, which is the human, the parasite is transferred into the bloodstream of the host. So the mosquito will bite the host. The parasite will enter the liver cells, where it will start killing the liver cells, which will affect the function, and then it will move into the bloodstream, where the parasite will reproduce in the red blood cells. The red blood cell will burst open and then die. Let's go on to our next and last microorganism, which is known as fungi, or even a fungus. So let's have a look at what is a fungus. A fungus is also a microorganism, which is a living organism. Most of them are pathogenic, which causes a disease like athlete's foot or oral thrush, which is very common in younger people, like babies, even toddlers. And some are non-pathogenic, which is decomposers, which is very good for our environment, and this is something like bread mold or even mushrooms. So what is a decomposer and why is it so important? So a decomposer is an organism which breaks down dead plant and animal tissues. So it gets rid of those leftovers. So what this organism does is it absorbs the nutrients from the environment. So for example, bread mold growing on bread will secrete enzymes, which is a protein that causes a chemical reaction. It breaks down the nutrients in the bread to a simpler form, and the fungi or the bread mold will then absorb the nutrients for all its life processes, like cell respiration, for example, because this is a living organism and it has to take in nutrients such as glucose specifically in order for them to reproduce and to stay alive. So let's have a look at athlete's foot, one of the common diseases found or caused by fungi. It targets the feet and the toes, and it's very contagious. It also results in scabby rashes on your toe. It can be very itchy, leaving a stinging and burning sensation on the feet. Luckily, you can try and treat it with an antifungal powder or even a cream to use. It's very common to prevent, and you can add the powder to your shoes as well. So there's a lot of ways to prevent athlete's foot. So let's have a look. You can wear open shoes during the summer. During the winter, it's quite difficult, so you can leave your shoes in the sun to dry, especially after exercise. Then you can also wash your feet And then you must dry them properly, which is very important. And then lastly, do not share socks or and you have to wear clean socks. And that is it for today. Hope you have learned a lot of microorganisms. Please watch my final video on the use of microorganisms and how we can use microorganisms to our advantage.